Good morning, everyone. So we're back at the Southern Hotel, and we're very lucky this morning that we're going to take a stroll in the garden with Johnny Marone, so you can see everything that's happening here. Hey, good morning, Johnny. Thank you so much for doing this for us today.
Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure to be in the gardens today. Hello, we're here at the Southern Hotel, and we're looking at the interesting things happening in the garden this time of year. Over here we have a type of oriental Japanese roof iris. It does wonderful in the garden. It was given to me by a close friend who called it a handkerchief iris. It stays low, it'll take sun or shade, and you see here in the spring, it really blooms very well, adds a lot of interest and detail. So I've grown numerous Japanese iris over the years. Very often, some of them don't tolerate the cold as well. Others don't like to be as moist or as humid as we get here in the deep south. This, again, was given to me by a neighbor and a close friend who lived across the street, and it's done wonderful in her garden, and it's done wonderful in my garden, and so it's easy to divide pieces and give to other people. Initially, there was just a small group of it, but you see how it's beginning to spread and make a beautiful border all along the edge of this garden. So after it blooms, the old flower spikes will be cut off, and it will just have interesting evergreen texture along the edge of this garden. Here we have Brunfelsia, or yesterday, today, and tomorrow. It was used a lot in New Orleans gardens because it's very fragrant when it blooms this time of the year. It's called yesterday, today, and tomorrow because if you look close, you'll see three color flowers on it. You'll see lavender, you'll see purple, and you'll see white. And that alludes to the three days. But you'll see it's very fragrant. It holds its foliage well. It does not like extreme cold, but can develop into a quite large, nice shrub here in the garden and adds that seasonal interest and historic flavor to the garden. Over here we have a seasonal area of bulbs. At this point we have amaryllis that are just starting to come into bloom that will provide foliage throughout the whole growing season, and then here it blooms here in the spring to add more color and interest in the garden. Below it, we have some Adamasca lily that were planted in here. It's a native lily with beautiful white flowers that come up in the spring. They stay relatively low, probably 8 to 10 inches high, and they'll be in clusters. It is an evergreen foliage, so the foliage stays throughout the year in the garden, but in the spring it's very showy as it comes up into bloom. So here we have these beautiful metal trellis arbors here at the hotel. We've planted them with Confederate jasmine on the ones on the end for evergreen throughout the winter season and for fragrance. They will be in bloom here in the next week to 2 weeks. And then on the open areas on these arbors, even mixed in with the Confederate jasmine, we've mixed 3 other vines. One here is a Mexican flame vine, which will be in bloom in the next week or 2. It will bloom throughout the summer as well as the other vines. They'll add seasonal interest and color throughout the warm growing season, and they also will attract butterflies and hummingbirds. So later in the fall, there'll be a lot of hummingbirds and butterflies in this area. Thank you very much for joining us here at the Southern Hotel.